Okay, in this tutorial, this is still working with the reciprocal functions in 2.4 in MathC30. And in this tutorial, we want to compare the two tangent graph with the cotangent graph. And you'll know we're going to draw the cotangent graph, y equals cotangent x. You'll notice my setup here does not go to pi, 2 pi, and negative 2 pi radians, as we know that the period of tan is only pi long. It's not 2 pi long like it is with cosine and sine. So that means we only are going to draw to pi and negative pi, one negative period and one positive period of cotan as well. And you notice I split it into 4 places here, but you'll notice that the middle one is still a pi over 2 or 90 degrees. That's halfway in between. So these divisions are smaller than what you would see on the cosine or sine graphs. They're only pi over 4 big. So this would be pi over 4 and this would be 3 pi over 4. But I didn't mark them in there because they're not that significant in this graph. So anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the calculator and compare the two graphs, what they look like. So I'm going to zoom in again as much as I can here. Put my calculator on here. Okay, and we're going to set the window first in the calculator. So what we want to do in our window is we need to change it to negative pi and positive pi for the x max and x min. And then my scaling is just pi over 4. Okay, that's what I plugged in. And then I put my maximum and minimums to y equals negative 4 and positive 4 and my y scale to 1. Now if I go back into here, I plug in for the what I'm going to do, let me clear this one here. I actually plugged that in. Let's do the tan graph first, just plain old tan graph. Tan bracket x. Close the bracket. Okay, then let's type in the cotangent graph, which would be bracket 1 divided by tan bracket x. Close the bracket twice. Okay, now hit the graph button. Okay, there's firstly the tan graph. Okay, you see there, it's only going one, and you'll notice there is this other graph, the cotan graph, and it's curving the other way, and it's got a 0 point that's slid over 90 degrees. Okay, so that's kind of, they're similar shaped graphs, but the cotangent graph goes the other way, plus it has a 0 point that is not at 0. It's at wherever there would be an asymptote on the tan graph, right? You see where that's where the 0 point of the cotan graph is, and vice versa. So let's clear that because it's kind of logged down. Let's go back. Actually, that's not clear. Let's go back to here and let's clear off the tan graph. So clear that, and we'll just look at the cotan graph by itself now. Okay, so there are asymptotes. The 0 points at 90 degrees, or pi over 2, and negative pi over 2, or negative 90 degrees, and the asymptotes are at 0 and pi. So the asymptotes are right out there. So if we sketch that graph into our, how to draw the graph into our hand draw the graph, and I'll zoom that back out here. So we know that the asymptotes are at 0 and negative and positive pi. So I've got those out here. So I'll put the asymptotes in here. Like this. Okay, and then there'll be an asymptote in here as well, but it's already black there, so it'll be hard to see. But it's there. And then we know the 0 points are at pi over 2 and negative pi over 2, or negative 90 and 90. And you can see that it kind of has that opposite shape. It comes down and then curves around like that. So it goes like this. Not the best sketch I've made, but that's where it goes. kind of down like that, and then curves out and then down like this, something like that. That's a little better. So there, from negative pi to pi, there are two complete cotangent graphs like that, which is different than tan, because tan, if you remember, starts here at a 0 point, right, and then it has a 0 point here and a 0 point here. Okay, right? So they are different graphs, and the shape, and then of course tan also goes like the opposite way when we're drawing it. So that would be the drawing for the cotangent y equals cotan x graph. In our next tutorial, we'll be looking at drawing those reciprocal functions with a lot of those extra numbers added into them and how you go about doing that. And we'll do an example or two in our next tutorial of that.